If you enjoy videos like this, subscribe to the channel before the video starts. It was a quiet night in the little town where Alex lived. The moon hung low in the sky, casting a pale light over his garden. The flowers swayed gently in the cool breeze, and the sound of crickets filled the air. Everything seemed calm, too calm. Alex was sitting inside his small house, reading a book, when he suddenly noticed something strange through the window. A shadow moved quickly across his garden. At first, he thought it was just a cat or maybe a raccoon, but something felt different this time. The shadow moved smoothly, almost silently, and it didn't look like any animal he had ever seen. Curiosity mixed with fear. Alex put down his book and tiptoed to the window. He could barely make out a figure, standing among the tall plants. It was small, maybe a little shorter than a human, but its shape was human-like. Its skin seemed to shine faintly under the moonlight, and its eyes. Alex could swear the eyes glowed, just a little. He blinked and rubbed his eyes. When he looked again, the figure had moved closer to his vegetable patch. The movement was strange, almost floating, like it didn't really touch the ground. Alex's heart raced. Should he call someone? Should he run? But something stopped him. Something inside him wanted to see more. He quietly opened the back door and stepped outside. The air was cool and smelled of wet earth. He crouched behind the bushes, watching the figure. It turned suddenly, almost as if it knew he was there, but it didn't seem scared. Instead, it looked at him long, slow, and curious. Alex froze. He couldn't understand what he was seeing. Its skin looked almost silver under the moonlight, and there were small, soft ridges on its arms. Its fingers were long and thin, moving carefully over the plants as if it was studying them. Alex had never seen anything like this. Suddenly, the figure looked directly at him. A chill ran down Alex's spine. Its eyes were wide and glowing faintly, and for a moment, he felt like it could see into his thoughts. He wanted to speak, to ask who it was, but no sound came out. And then, as quickly as it had appeared, the figure vanished. One moment it was there, and the next, it was gone, leaving only the rustle of leaves and a faint shimmer in the air. Alex stood there, frozen, trying to understand what had just happened. He knew one thing for sure: this was not an ordinary visitor. Someone or something had sneaked through his garden, and it was unlike anything he had ever seen. He couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning. Alex whispered to himself, almost in disbelief, "I need to find out who or what she really is." And with that thought, a strange feeling of both fear and curiosity settled over him. Little did he know, the night had only just begun. The next night, Alex couldn't sleep. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw those glowing eyes staring at him from his garden. He tried to convince himself it was just his imagination, but deep down, he knew it was real. He had to find out what or who it was. As the clock ticked past midnight, Alex got a flashlight and quietly stepped outside. The garden looked normal, peaceful, but he couldn't shake the feeling that he was being watched. The air was thick with tension, and the leaves rustled as if whispering secrets he couldn't understand. He slowly walked toward the vegetable patch where he had seen the figure the night before. Then, he saw a faint shimmer in the corner of his garden. His heart skipped a beat. It was her. The figure was small, glowing faintly, and moving carefully among the plants. This time, she didn't seem startled by his presence. Alex crouched behind a bush, trying to stay hidden. He noticed something strange. She wasn't touching the plants normally. The tips of her fingers hovered above the leaves, and the plants seemed to respond to subtle movements, like they were communicating with her. Alex's mind raced. Was she some kind of scientist? Or something else? Suddenly, she paused and turned. Alex froze. She seemed aware of him watching, but instead of fear, there was curiosity in her glowing eyes. Then, she did something completely unexpected. A small device, unlike anything Alex had ever seen, appeared in her hands. It projected a soft, floating light above the plants, scanning them. Numbers and symbols glimmered in the air, forming patterns that Alex couldn't understand. He couldn't believe it. This wasn't just a person sneaking through his garden. This was advanced. Almost otherworldly. His mind whirled with questions. Where had she come from? Why was she here? And most importantly, was she dangerous? Before he could think of a plan, she turned her head slightly, as if sensing him even behind the bush. A shiver ran down Alex's spine. She wasn't human. He could feel it in every instinct of his body. And yet, she didn't seem threatening. Suddenly, a soft humming sound filled the garden, low and almost musical. Alex realized it was coming from her device. The plants reacted, tiny leaves shifting toward the light, almost like they were alive in a way he had never noticed before. His fear mixed with awe. This was something extraordinary. Then, as quickly as she appeared, she looked at him once more and vanished. Just like that? No shimmer, no rustle, nothing. The garden was silent again, except for Alex's heavy breathing. He stumbled back to the house, mind racing. He whispered to himself, "She's not here to hurt anyone, but why is she really here?" Alex knew one thing: tonight, he had discovered something incredible. And whatever she was, whatever her mission, this was only the beginning. Alex had barely slept all night. Every shadow in his room seemed alive, moving like it had a secret. He kept thinking about the figure in his garden, those glowing eyes, the floating device, the way the plants had reacted. He knew he had to see her again, no matter the risk. That night, he grabbed his flashlight, a notebook, and a small camera. As he stepped into the garden, a sudden chill ran through the air. The moonlight seemed brighter, casting long shadows over the plants. He moved slowly, careful not to make a sound. Then, a soft glow appeared near the edge of the garden. She was there. This time, she didn't try to hide. She was smaller than a human, her skin shimmering silver under the moonlight, and her eyes glowed softly like distant stars. In her hands, she held the strange device again, scanning the plants. Alex noticed that this time, she wasn't just studying them, she seemed to be communicating with them. The leaves bent and swayed as if responding to her in some language Alex couldn't understand. He stepped closer, curiosity stronger than fear. "Who are you?" he whispered, his voice barely audible. For a moment, she paused. Then, slowly, she raised her hands. A soft light glowed between her palms, forming shapes in the air, symbols, lines, patterns that floated like tiny holograms. Alex watched in awe, realizing she was trying to communicate without words. Suddenly, the truth became clear. She wasn't human. She came from another world. Her species studied planets, plants, and life forms to survive. The device she held was a kind of scanner, collecting data to help her people. She wasn't dangerous, she was desperate to learn and survive. Alex felt a mix of fear and wonder. He stepped closer, and she didn't move away. Instead, she extended a small, glowing object toward him, a tiny crystal that pulsed with soft light. It was a message, a gift, a connection. He could feel it vibrating lightly in his hand, like it held knowledge far beyond his understanding. Then, without warning, she vanished again. The garden was quiet, almost too quiet, leaving only the soft glow of the crystal in Alex's hand. He stood there, heart racing, mind spinning. Had it been real, or a dream? But the crystal proved it. He whispered to himself, "She came to learn, not to harm." But why choose my garden? And what will happen next? Alex looked up at the sky, where the stars seemed brighter than ever. Somewhere out there, she was watching, learning, waiting. And he knew this was just the beginning. The night had changed forever, and so had he. The garden, once ordinary, now held secrets Alex could barely comprehend. And deep down, he felt the thrill of discovery and the fear of the unknown, knowing that the universe was far bigger and stranger than he had ever imagined.